Hello, hello. Welcome to another video here on my YouTube channel. Today, I would like to answer a question that I got on Facebook. Somebody was asking, Lissa, what is the difference between microgreens and sprouts? Let's dive into the differences in this video. Thank you so much for joining me today for a video here on my YouTube channel. If you like these videos, please click like. You know what to do. Subscribe to the channel as well. And check out the plant-based bundle that's going on right now. If you want to learn how to grow sprouts and microgreens, check out the bundle because Nate has his microgreens video course included in this bundle. We have $867 worth of content in here for 50 bucks for you. This is the big Black Friday sale and it ends in 2 days. You do not have very much time left to grab it. So if you've been thinking about it, if you want to grab the bundle, now is your chance. Go to the description box below and click on the link. You can also get 60% off any or all of our ebooks with code BFF2024. We only run 60% off during the holidays, so please go grab that if you've been thinking about getting any of our ebooks. That is available to you as well. So let's chat about the difference between sprouts and microgreens. So the microgreen is the green growth of the sprout, basically. So the sprout is first, and then it grows into a microgreen. The difference between the two is one can be grown in a jar, and obviously they grow long enough to become a microgreen, but you're still eating the seed itself. And the microgreens are usually grown in soil or they're grown on a tray. And typically with a microgreen, you're only eating the top part. You're eating the stem and the little leaves. But with the sprouts, you're eating the seed itself or the legume with a little tiny tail or what's called a radicle. So for the sprouts, typically sprouts have a little bit higher protein and fat content than the microgreens. And the microgreens have a little bit more vitamin, mineral, and chlorophyll, especially if they turn green, than the sprout itself, because the sprout usually doesn't have leaves on it yet and is usually just the seed and the tail. The microgreen, however, is the stem and the leaves. So if you let that go green, then they're going to have a little bit different nutrition profile than the seeds and the legumes are. So for example, if you're sprouting lentils and you're using the lentils for protein, for example, the lentil sprout is going to have more protein than the lentil microgreen if you're growing the microgreens, because you're just going to be eating the stem and the leaves, which does have a little protein in it too, but the seed itself has more protein and a little bit more fats in it, not tons, but just a little bit more comparable, you know. So if you are looking for more protein and a little bit of extra of the fats, the sprouts are going to be a better option than the microgreens. Now, I'm not saying to choose one or the other. I think it's a good idea to have both in your diet. And Nate and I include both in our diet. We'll talk about, you know, when to use either or later in this video. But the difference is usually a little bit of nutrition. There's more protein and fats in the sprout than there is in the microgreen. And the microgreen tends to have a little bit more chlorophyll, vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing, because it has a chance to grow and have those little leaves on top. The other difference between the two is how they're grown. As I mentioned earlier, the sprouts are typically grown in a jar. You're usually soaking them overnight and then rinsing and draining them 2 or 3 times a day for the next couple of days until they have a little tail. That is when they're ready to eat. And you don't need to wait until they have a super long tail. You can eat them right away. As soon as they have that little tail, they're ready to go. And for the lentils, the mung beans, the chickpeas, even other types of peas, as soon as they get that little tail, and sometimes even before they get the tail, we will put them in the freezer. So we usually soak them overnight, or for example, with the chickpeas, we let those soak about 48 hours so that they have a chance to start to germinate. But even if they don't have a tail, we put them in the freezer. So after they're ready to go, they have a little tail or they're soaked for the appropriate amount of time, then we rinse and drain them really well. and then we freeze them. So the lentils, the chickpeas, and the mung beans, they're so good after you've sprouted them or soaked them and then freeze them. When you thaw those, they absorb a lot more of flavors. So if you want to marinate them in a little bit of sauce, it's a good idea to freeze them. And then once they're thawed, you marinate them for a few hours. They're so delicious. So, so, so good. Um, and they're also different texture. So I never liked sprouted chickpeas, fresh sprouted chickpeas. They were too hard. They were too starchy. They were a little bit too bitter for me. And then thank you to Chris Kendall from the Raw Advantage, who, by the way, is also in the bundle. And in his stew ebook that you get in the bundle, he talks about the freezing thawing technique that he uses for his sprouted beans, like lentils, and chickpeas, for example, and vegetables as well. Doing harder vegetables like carrots, cauliflower, that can really help with the texture. So what we learned from him was that if you freeze them and then thaw them, not only do they absorb a lot more of the flavor once they're thawed, but they're softer texture. So it's a way to get a different texture for raw meals without cooking. So it's a really great technique. But that's basically for the sprouts. For the microgreens, they're usually grown in soil or, like I said, on a tray, on a growth medium. Now that can be burlap or cocoa coir or whatever kind of a soil that you have or a growth medium that you have, you can grow the microgreens on. And then once they grow, you're typically cutting them off near the root. So you're not eating the seed. That's why they're a little lower in the protein, because you're not actually eating the seed itself. It's in the soil and we're not using the soil. We're just chopping off the top microgreen and we're adding those to our salads. They are very high in vitamins and minerals. They're really good for us, especially broccoli microgreens, which are really high in sulforaphane. Broccoli sprouts as well are really high in sulforaphane too. And you can let the sprouts go as long as you like them to go. But again, as soon as they have the little tail, they're pretty much ready to go and you can eat them right away. As for the different uses between the two, there are different times where you might want to use microgreens as opposed to sprouts and vice versa. For the sprouts, as we mentioned, the freeze thaw technique, we like to use sprouts in our raw soups, stews, curries, chilies. We also like to use the sprouts in things like burgers or added to the taco meat. That can actually help to boost the protein content. So if you're looking to add a little extra protein to your raw diet, the sprouts are going to be your best friends. Sprout them so they have the little tails, freeze them, and then thaw them and marinate them and use them however you wish. They're also really good added to salads. So that's another thing that you can do with the sprouts. And you can also make amazing dips like hummus or some kind of a creamy dip using the sprouted, frozen and thawed chickpeas or the lentils. You can make like a lentil hummus with a little bit of tahini, maybe tons of garlic, lemon juice, and you can add some spices and herbs to that as well. Blend that up in a food processor and you've got yourself a nice thick protein-rich dip that you can make from your own sprouts. Now for the microgreens are really good in salads. They're really, really awesome in wraps, nori rolls, and the tacos. You can actually make an entire salad with microgreens. If you have a bunch of different varieties, like the pea shoots, maybe some broccoli microgreens, some sunflower microgreens, you can cut all of those microgreens and make a big giant microgreen salad if you want to. Add a little bit of lettuce, some other vegetables, and have a nice dressing on that. That's a really great way to use the microgreens, but they're typically more added to salads and other things like that. And they're really great as toppings. To make everything look a little extra pretty. But that's what I would use the microgreens for as opposed to the sprouts. Obviously, you can put the sprouts in wraps and you can put the microgreens on burgers. You can put the sprouts in the burger itself and put the microgreens on the burger. So you can combine them in meals as well. But I still think it's great to have a little bit of both. So grow the sprouts and use those, and grow the microgreens and use those. And if you want to learn how to grow your own sprouts and microgreens, grab the bundle because you do get access to Nate's microgreens video course to teach you how to do them yourself in your kitchen. On a side note, I'd also like to mention how amazing sunflower microgreens are for iron. 1 cup of sunflower microgreens, which is about an ounce, has roughly around 6 milligrams of iron. Now, when a woman menstruating needs 18 milligrams a day, men need 8 milligrams a day, 6 milligrams in a cup of sunflowers microgreens is a huge amount of iron, and it's non-heme iron, so it's differently absorbed in the body. It is such an amazing addition to your diet. So learn how to grow sunflower microgreens and start adding those to your meals. It's a really great way to increase your iron. Plus, microgreens are baby greens. They're tender, they're easy to digest, so you can eat a huge amount of them and it will feel really good in your body, and you'll get all of the nutritional benefit from them. So go grab the bundle if you haven't yet. Again, you only have 2 days left to get this amazing Black Friday sale. You're getting the most content from us in a bundle ever. $867 worth of our content for $50. There's 16 different contributions in here, including the hand salads, wrap ebook, tacos, the Tales from the Tailgate ebook is in there. A live lunch is in there. Meal plan volume 3, dude food, the nice cream book. There's so much. So go check it out if you haven't yet. The link is in the description box below, along with the link for our ebook store, because you can also get 60% off our ebooks with code BFF2024. Check it out down below for all the links. And we'll be back tomorrow for another video. I love you all so much. And as always, fruit on.